Hey everybody, Sarah here. So today I'm going to be going over the double mutations in corn snakes and what their prices were averaged throughout the year, and especially compared to last year's average prices. I want to thank all of the members on this channel first though. You guys are amazing. Remember, we are going to have another tier coming up sometime early next year, but for right now we just have our neonates. So thank you so much, neonates, for being members. If you would like to be a member, you can click join under any video. Right now the $2 option is the only option. You get access to live videos after they're over, and you also get your own little video every week. I'm gonna make a $5 tier sometime early next year, and so if you guys have a suggestion of what that $5 tier name should be, please let me know. Neonates is what we kind of use for younger, like baby hatchling snakes, and so if you can think of something like a snake term to use for maybe someone slightly older or whatever, please let me know. I would love suggestions in the comments. I also quickly want to thank Reptilinks for helping to support this channel. You can use my code SarahSnake27 at checkout at reptilinks.com for $5 off, and it gets me a little money too to help feed my snakes as well. So you get great food for your snakes, I get great food for my snakes. Everybody's happy. So I have a website, sarahsnakeshop.com. Right now I have 10% off everything on the website until the end of the year. The shipping date for actually shipping snakes has passed, but I can still ship out merchandise and stuff like that. So if anybody has extra Christmas money and they wanted a snake shirt, I will be doing the tie-dye shirts and the white shirts as well. There's also masks that can be tie-dyed, etc. So now jumping into the video, today we are going to be going over the double mutations in corn snakes that I had collected information from. If you remember in the last video, we did the sort of average increase and decrease percentages for all of these morphs, as well as going over the first set of single gene mutations. And again, if any of you notice that I miss a morph that you really want me to go over, please let me know in the comments, and I'm going to add that to the end of the the final video in this series this year. So some of these are double mutations, some of them are triple mutations. I was trying to sort them out into doubles and triples, but I think that would just make for way too many videos. So we're going to kind of combine some doubles and some triples in here. These are in no particular order, and please remember that these are baby prices throughout the year, and they are not like adult or yearling prices, so those prices are probably going to be different if that's what you were looking at. The first one on the list that we have is Snow Motley. Last year the average price was $150, and this year it was $160. So we did see a little bit of an increase in Snow Motleys. The next one is Snow Tessera. Again, another snow. It went from $155 average last year to $170 average this year. Another like increase in price. That doesn't last long though, because then we get into lemon/honey. I know that those two are different morphs, but they almost consistently always go for the same prices. So I'm going to just sort of keep them in the same vein right now. When those prices, if they ever split off, when they split off, I will put them in separate categories, but they're so similar, I'm just going to keep them in the same category. Average price last year was $140, and this year it was $130, so there was a little bit of a decrease there. This is where we start getting into a pretty severe decrease, and that is with the caramel blood red or caramel diffused. I'm putting all blood reds and diffused just in the same category also, by the way, because they're often just sold as being like the same thing and the same prices. So I'm just going to keep it all kind of in one pot there. Last year, the caramel blood was selling for $180 on average, and this year $135. So that is quite a dramatic decrease. It's a 25% decrease. Coral Snow is another one that I was really surprised didn't do quite as well this year as it did last year. There was almost a 20% decrease between the average of $190 last year and $155 this year. Now, Ghost Tessera did the opposite. Ghost Tessera had a 20% increase between $150 last year and $180 this year. Also, remember, keep in mind, this is all American prices. I mentioned that in the last video, but these prices may be very different in different countries. I'm not sure. These are just the prices in my area. Even though Ghost Tessera got a nice increase between $150 and $180, Anery Tessera actually had a decrease of about 15% from $140 to $115. The average price of a regular old snow stayed the same. $95 last year, $95 this year is the average. And I guess that makes sense. Like a lot of morphs like that. I mentioned caramel, I think, in the last video. They ended up just kind of staying the same, and that's going to happen. Ghost had a 9% decrease between $115 and $105. Now, pied blood reds specifically, not just blood reds, but blood reds that are specifically pied, had about a 26% decrease in price from 315 to 230, which is quite a steep slope in my opinion. Some of them did decrease more than that, and we'll get into that in a second, but it is very interesting to me that that one specifically, because pieds have always sold really well, they had quite a significant decrease in their costs this year. I think the one that had the most, like the steepest decrease, is this next one. It's a 50% decrease from the average of 200 to an average of 100 between the last 2 years, and that is the butter corn snake. I have no idea why butters went from being an average of 200 to an average of 100 within the span of a year, but it just happens. Sometimes morphs are more popular in a certain year and sometimes they're not. The one that had a pretty dramatic decrease was the Anery Motley, decreasing 40% from 160 to 95. Amel Motley, though, had a 3% increase from 150 to 155. And of course, those averages could ultimately just be the same. They could both just be 150, and it kind of just depended on, you know, when I looked at the prices. But just from what I noticed, there's about a 3% increase on average. Ultramel Anery, though, not so lucky. Another one that had a very, very steep decrease from 250 to 135. That's a 46% decrease in price. And that's great for someone who wants to buy an Ultramel Anery, but not so great for breeders who worked really hard to get Ultramel Anerys and couldn't sell them. Peppermints had a slight increase of 14% from 150 to 170. And last but not least on this list is the Amel Tessera, that had a 3% decrease from 140 to 135. That again could have been another one that it's so close. The averages were basically the same, but since there was a difference, I thought I would mention it. Psych, this is Future Sarah in editing. I wanted to go ahead and add some of the requests that I already got. That way I don't forget them or lose them in all the shuffle. Again, remember, put your requests in, because next week is going to be the last video that we can do requests. So there were 3 that I did not touch on that I was requested to touch on. And so the first one being a hypo, just regular hypomelanistic. Actually had an interesting increase this year from what I could tell. I did not have very many hypos to go off of. So just kind of keep that in mind. A lot of the biggest reasons that a lot of these didn't end up in the original videos is because I just didn't see that many of them. So these numbers are not going to be quite as precise, which is why I'm not going to give percentage of increase and decrease on these ones specifically, but just kind of give you an idea. So hypomelanistic type A, just your regular old hypo, was 85 last year, and I saw an average of 100 this year, which is really interesting because it's even going for more than a normal or a anery. So very, very interesting increase in that. But again, I didn't have that many to go off of. So kind of take that one with a grain of salt. All these last 3 are going to be a grain of salt. Lavender was the next one. I saw a decrease in this one, a relatively significant decrease, which was kind of to be expected given the rest of the ones having a big decrease as well. So lavender was 165 last year, an average of 120 this year. And the last one on the list that was requested that I hadn't touched on and was not on a future list is Motley, and it actually is the same. Motley didn't really change. It was 110 last year, I believe, and then also about 110 again this year. So there you go. I'm going to go back to last Sarah. Remember, the next video is going to be the last in the series, so if you have any requests, please put them in the comments now so that I can gather that information and have that released to you guys next week. I hope that you guys enjoyed that video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the last video of the year next week.